ERP in the manufacturing world is a big cornerstone, right? And it plays a very important role. Can you give 2 to 3 use cases of why ERP is so important for manufacturing industry?
See, ultimately, if you want to do your business planning, right from your annual operating plan to your budgeting, right, which will you're spread into different department budgets, right, your forecasting, everything, then your actual sales or make to stock, whatever scenario is there, because you have to ask about the manufacturing scenario. If it has to translate to production, supply chain, what is there in my stock, how much I need to purchase, what is my lead time. There will be some products or raw material which has a longer lead time items, right? I have to ABC class items. I need to maintain inventory. I need to maintain batches. I need to maintain expiry dates, right? So it's your production and you have material requirement planning, right? So all of that, it's very complicated if you manage it manually or with some very basic or elementary kind of tools, or including ERP. There are ERPs available in market, but if the product is not good, right, because ultimately your everything will hit your accounting books, right, whether it is accounts receivable or accounts payable. If you are 2 3 people company, you can do that, then everything you are doing, that's not enterprise. But if it is a bigger company, right, like so then in that case you need system. Of course people are important, but ultimately beyond one point of time, it is process and technology which enables the synchronous harmony in which your the beautiful music, if you want for the organizations to grow, so that is required.
So, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Leaders Lounge by Quantum Dialogues, a thought leadership initiative by NGenious Solutions. Quantum Dialogue brings together accomplished technology and business leaders for meaningful conversations around digital transformation, operational excellence, leadership, and the evolving role of technology in shaping the modern enterprises. These conversations also contribute to the broader thinking being explored by Mr. Nilesh Mehta, founder and CEO of NGenious Solutions, in his upcoming book, Reinventing IT Operations. And it's a pleasure to have you all for today's session. We are privileged to have with us the second time Mr. Kushal Varshney, Assistant Vice President, Information Technology at Juniper Green Energy. In his current role, he's been helping drive IT strategy, digital transformation, cybersecurity, and cloud integration in an organization operating in one of today's most dynamic sectors. Juniper Green Energy has built a significant renewable energy portfolio across solar, wind, hybrid, and power trading. He represents the kind of technology leader who is just not managing IT as a support function, but using technology to improve business clarity, operational discipline, resilience, and better decision making at scale. And we are delighted to have him here with us again and look forward to hearing in depth on his perspectives. Leading the conversation will be Mr. Nilesh Mehta, author and CEO of NGenious Solutions. And without taking any more of your time, guys, let me hand it over to you, Mr. Nilesh. Nilesh, sir, over to you.
Thank you so much, Kalpesh. Appreciate it. Kushal, welcome back to the show.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Nilesh.
your thoughts and time and insight on this topic. During our last conversation, you mentioned some amazing things happening at your company and all the different new technologies that you are implementing over there. We're looking forward to understanding more from that perspective over here. Uh, you have had an amazing experience over the last, multiple years. One of my questions is generally as businesses scale and grow, and I'm just going to jump right into the discussion over here is because of the challenge we have time. But as businesses scale and grow, what becomes more difficult with legacy systems, right? Are you looking at problem with visibility of data, processes that are not consistently working properly, or the speed of decision making, right? I don't have data accessible, and how can I make decision over here? What comes first, or how do you start identifying these issues then?
The first and foremost thing, so all three are correlated, and first and foremost thing is visibility, because once things are visible, then you can try to make it consistent, and basis the that you can do a decision making part means. So of course, the first thing will be always be the visibility part. So visibility is critical part.
Excellent. When you don't have information that's visible to you, where does it hurt the most, right? Is it because, it hurts because I'm not able to make decisions. It hurt because my operations are not able to run properly and I cannot see where it's not running properly. Um, how do you take that information, say where do I go and fix things then?
See, the one, if you say it is fear of unknown. So when things are unknown or not known to you, it's a surprise element. Anything can come up. Okay. So with that regard, whatever risk from unknown perspective is there, that is applicable in this case. And when you are diagnosing things, be it your infra, network, security, application, some user perspective, or it may be some shadow IT issues, right? So when you do those kind of things, they come with their own compliances. There are a lot of other issues. Manageability is another issue. They can be acted as your backdoor for some vulnerability part also. So because of this, first focus should be to identify things as and when you will strengthen your fort, but plus additionally or parallelly identifying such unknown things. So getting rid of this fear of unknown is very critical.
We were talking about visibility and how it impacts decision making. And where does it hurt the most? The fact that I cannot make a decision impacts to some kind of a loss somewhere, obviously, right? Um, and it is very, very important for us to start getting that visibility first. Where would you take your first approach? Fixing your process it with your manual labor, or fixing your tools? And how do you identify which way should I go first? Because an issue with data and visibility can occur in both situations. Either my tool is not reporting my data properly, or my manual data entry is not working properly from that perspective. So how would you in a situation like that to address this?
So it will be a parallel approach. It is not like fully automated or fully manual. It will be hybrid approach. Why? Because everything is not part of your network. You have lots of kind of a air gap. You can say there are lots of, particularly when someone is having OT environment, because OT environment, there is no network penetration. It's a separate environment altogether.
Okay.
Operational technology where you have SCADA, your MES, manufacturing execution system. So with those kind of scenarios, it is very critical. So visibility is very crucial. So we will safeguard or strengthen our security, our fort. The wall will make it more stronger. In parallel, we'll also look for the unknown. The fear of unknown we'll try to get rid of, because from a shadow IT perspective, okay, or from a unknown threat perspective, these unknown or unidentified assets, it may be infra, network, security, or any application also, right? This may be a compliance issue, it may be a backdoor for my any risk, any threat, any vulnerability also, right? Because those are totally maybe unmanaged, ungoverned, partially governed kind of scenarios, right? So from that perspective, it will be a hybrid approach to tackle both known and unknown both. And discovery also automated, like we can use tools like which are in network. You have discovery tools which can discover your all the IT inventory in terms of hardware and software part. But there will be good number of users who are offline, maybe at home, maybe traveling. Site or plant location may not be everything is a network. So good amount of manual work or auditing. So it will be both, which will be taken.
Understood. When somebody in your position joins a new company, I'm assuming you have a 30, 60-day, 90-day game plan saying, during my onboarding process, I knew this was my job, my responsibility. I need to gather X, Y, and Z information to make proper decisions over here. Uh, any couple of sample reports that you think these are the first three reports I would need to start getting visibility into data?
Yeah, so normally we create a template, like my asset template in terms of be it asset hardwares or be it softwares, all of that, including the PAM part, privilege access management part, because that is also very critical. We have to safeguard all the administrator roles and especially their passwords also. So we leverage the existing information, tweak it if anything we find, okay, certain things are missing, and we circulate that. We push for data collection, information gathering, maybe tools like Management or other Microsoft Intune also, which has decent inventory. There are many other tools in market which can be leveraged for that purpose. plus manual verification also is in a great many cases it is required. So basis that the information gathering which will help us in decision making further is
Makes sense.
planned. It is that's how means we plan it and execute it.
Makes sense. Again, if you specifically speak about asset management, so we need to know what assets we have available, what are in production, what are being archived, who has access to what assets. Like you mentioned before, there may be vulnerabilities, patching stuff that we have to constantly look for, make sure that our machines are secure, our devices are secure from that perspective, whether it's firmware or OS or something like that. There's also that aspect of governance, risk, and compliance, right? Because organizations like yourself, or sometimes or many times ISO and other compliance in place over there. So from a compliance perspective, also it becomes necessary to make sure our assets are tracked properly and maintained and patched properly, right? Uh,
Right.
what would you do from a GRC, which is what we call governance, risk, and compliance, in addition to using tools, some of the tools that you mentioned, and there are obviously, like you said, many other tools available. Um, how often do people need to go back and revisit their governance processes to maintain this stuff?
See, if you are talking about from a ERP perspective, so there are separate tools for governance, risk, and compliance in the ERP part in terms of business transactions or segregation of duties. But if I talk about my application or assets part, my hardware, software, all of that part, so that kind of things in a decent manner, I talked about managing and including patch management. So managing an endpoint patch central is having a patch management capability, which we are monitoring and using also. Through that, we can do the patching, what is outdated, which version someone is using, whether it is outdated or any other compliance issue, any software need to be pushed, installed, uninstalled. So all of that we can achieve using such kind of tools. So with that, we are achieving that. But yeah, uh, because you mentioned about the asset, the visibility part, the components which are so there may be a likeliness some laptop somehow maybe there. Although in our case it's not there, we have fixed all of that. If it is there, like where management itself is not installed and it is not
Mhm.
part of your network, how you will
Sure.
identify? So
Makes
those are
sense.
the unknown devils which need to be addressed. You will see your as fixed asset register because if any asset is being purchased, it will be part of your ERP. You will be calculating depreciation also on that,
Makes
right?
sense.
So
Absolutely.
so it's a multi-dimensional approach which will ensure in terms of completeness and accuracy of data.
Makes sense. Makes sense. My next question is, when companies are growing and scaling up, right? You're a 50 crore, 100 crore company, or 500 crore company, or more also, right? There are still many companies that focus on legacy tools like using spreadsheets or old tools to grow. At what point would you say, what, people need to start really looking at technology if they want to scale from where they're and go to like 5x, 10x of their business, right? Um, where do you see that point where people says, I need to start using technology, because if I don't use technology, how will I grow and how will I maintain this properly from here on? So what would be your guidance from that perspective?
I'll give you two perspectives. One is if you are starting fresh, like one of my previous organization where I was second employee in the company, and we were backed by a private equity firm. The vision was very clear, and I also said that I also contributed to that vision. Like we need to have a robust foundation, so that we can scale up, okay, and we can have an inorganic growth. So if you have proper things in place, then you don't have to think again or rethink about the system processes. So it is people, process, and technology part, right? Then you just have to roll it out or extend it or expand it or scale it, right? So, and so accordingly, you have to select the tools. So that is the right time because uh, if anyone asks what is the right time, it is always now. Okay. If
Yes,
you think tomorrow I will do this or I will have some relaxed time, ultimately complications, the business scale, the business size is always increasing. If for any
absolutely.
reason certain things we have not done it, or maybe we have parked it to do it in a phase-wise manner, uh, definitely that's a conscious call, strategic decision with the management and CIO and CISO. It must have been taken, but it has to be in a right manner with right approach. It should be implemented. Any company, like for example, I have joined many companies where of course, there is an improvement scope always everywhere, and technology is also pretty fast changing. So again, there also we create a roadmap for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. like what is the mission critical thing within first 6 months or 1 month, 1 year we have to achieve, then what we will do second year and third year. So ultimately, first it is always the robust foundation, solid, and then second year and third year it is more automation, more advanced part, advanced analytics, and those kind of things. So that's the approach, or that's the suggestion I give it to everyone, and I personally follow also.
Very nice. And it actually leads back to your first point again, always being visibility. The more tools you as you're a small company, it's easy to get information and then you can track things over. But if you're looking at scaling things, you have so many data points. There's no human way where you can just make sure that I'm aware of all the data points unless you have the tools that are capturing the information and presenting them to you in a dashboard format then.
Correct. So typical use cases, like many places, people skip some maybe renewals, some issues are being reported, those are untraced. People are getting emails now. People are bombarded with the emails, many emails. Somewhere we have to take action. Lots of places we are marked just in CC. Now 200, 300 emails in a day. There is a likeliness you may skip certain emails. Then how you will follow that? But if you have some tool, some task management, some ticketing tool, or some other tool where okay, there which is not like mass people are marked in that, there is a who is responsible, accountable for this kind of thing. If any approvals are required, then entire audit trail is also part of it, right? From a your organization readiness perspective,
Absolutely.
from a compliance perspective, so everything is there. So that way, of course. And nowadays people can start small also. In the SaaS world, earlier it used to be a challenge, okay, no, you need to have a heavy on-premise infrastructure, but now that's not the case. You are a small company, you can start small, go with the smaller subscriptions, and as you scale up, you keep on adding or upgrading that. So my suggestion is start as early. If you are starting now, do right first time. If you are already embarked on some journey, some time has already passed on, and now you are rethinking, it's high time. Let's do it now,
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
tomorrow never comes.
Completely agree with you. Completely. It's already too late at that point then, right? Um, ERP in the manufacturing world is a big cornerstone, right? And it plays a very important role. Um, can you give 2 to 3 use cases of why ERP is so important for manufacturing industry, right? Generally, because it applies to everybody over there. But why? Why is ERP so important for your organization or your industry to scale properly?
Partially, I have answered for the spreadsheet and other part of it, because all of that is applicable for ERP also. See, ultimately, if you want to do your business planning, right from your annual operating plan, your budgeting, right, which will you're spread into different department budgets, right, your forecasting, everything. Then your actual sales or make to stock, whatever scenario is there, because you have to ask about the manufacturing scenario. If it has to translate to production, supply chain, what is there in my stock, how much I need to purchase, what is my lead time. There will be some products or raw material which has a longer lead time items, right? I have to ABC class items. I need to maintain inventory. I need to maintain batches. I need to maintain expiry dates, right? So it's your production, and you have material requirement planning, right? So all of that, it's very complicated if you manage it manually or with some very basic or elementary kind of tools, or including ERP. There are ERPs available in market, but if the product is not good, right? Because ultimately your everything will hit your accounting books, right? Whether it is accounts receivable or accounts payable. So
Mhm.
end-to-end process, end-to-end audit trail, end-to-end approvals, end-to-end your including RFQ, your quotation comparisons, then their approvals, their maker checker, all of that needs to be in place. Then again, integration with the bank. So how much work you will do manually, how much controls you will put in manually. If you are 2, 3 people company, you can do that. Then everything you are doing, that's not
Absolutely.
enterprise. But if it is
Agree.
a bigger company, right? Like so, then in that case, you need system. You need. Of course, people are important, but ultimately, beyond one point of time, it is process and technology which enables the synchronous harmony in which your the beautiful music, if you want for the organizations to grow, so that is required.
Understood. Now we'll take this in a different manner, right? We spoke about a lot of fact on why you need this technology to you grow your scaling company, but it's not always possible for an organization to do it themselves. They need help, they need partners, they need vendors, they need skilled resources from that perspective. What challenges, if any, have you seen in trying to find the right skills, the right partner who can understand and implement these solutions for you properly? Because, like you said, it's a very critical part of any organization. And you need to make sure that anybody you are bringing to help assist with this understands you understand as a business process. So, where do you see the challenges? Lack of skills, lack of business process from a partner or vendor perspective point of view, then?
Yeah, I think lack of skill is a scenario everywhere, whether it is in-house or whether it is outsourced. Because many partners, they will pick up some business, whether they have skills or not. Everyone want to do business. No one want to do any business. So rather than just on the brand value or some individual value, I always go with, okay, I want XYZ tool or maybe ERP as an example. So I always go with the team, which will be deployed, not the pre-sales team. It should be always the team which will work on my project. So we
Okay.
take the profiles of those team members, kind of CVs. If required, we also interview them. Okay, ideally interviewing is recommended because many times CVs may be massaged also. Okay, when you interview them, you will get to know, okay, this person is having knowledge of that product and related processes or not. For example, in if someone is doing any ERP, it may be, for example, SAP, right, or even Microsoft. And if it is finance related process, so he need to understand the business processes as well as the technology nuances so that he can design it in a very effective manner. Otherwise, he will either say these things are not possible or not supported by technology, or everything needs to be customized, although things may be available from the standard. And we all know uh, the side effects of customizations, right? There are bugs, there are performance issues, right? So, and those are not very well tried and tested kind of thing. So, recommended is as much as possible use standard processes, standard tools, best practices, and assess the skills of the partner or the not overall as a holistic team, not just team, individual contributors also, and what is the backup line if one person is on leave because of some good reason or bad reason or some emergency, what is the backup,
Continuity plan.
right? Yeah. So from a BCP, business continuity planning perspective, those things are also critically required, including if someone is absconding or leaving the organization, then you should have timely replacement also so that your
Absolutely.
operations continues. So all of these factors we take in consideration. Of course, there is a commitment also because there might be some odd scenarios also, but from a management willpower and commitment perspective also means I have seen people who may be lacking skill set, but because of the attitude and the management commitment, they have delivered things.
Makes sense. Yep, absolutely. I think there's a lot that goes into how a partner approaches any project and relationship, right? I think um, the one of the key things that I have seen always, if you are a vendor, it's a different story. If you're a partner, you're
Yeah,
a different story. A partner
yeah,
walks a journey with you. A vendor is brought in to perform a specific activity, and that's the end of your story, basically, at that point, right? So that whole
yeah.
thought process and mentality is a big difference over there. As you look at partners and vendors in an ever-changing technology. Technology right now is changing so fast that it's difficult not only for us as seniors, but even partners and vendors to keep up with all the new features and functionality coming up. Um, uh, but customer expectations are always that partners and vendors need to know everything because that's what I'm paying you for. You are the experts, right? But technology is changing every minute by the minute over here. Uh, how does that work for how should an ideal relationship be in a partnership, right? Because both teams have to have a win-win attitude and saying, we know what's happening in the world out there, and how do we address this situation properly?
So I have a practical use case also for this. In one of my previous organization, we signed SAP Rise early 2020 when it was pretty new in the market. I think we were very early, first, second, third customer in India.
Hmm.
So their OEM role is very crucial. So we need to involve, and OEM also gives us a very good hyper attention, hyper care kind of thing. Lots of resources they complemented for the project basis, which to ensure the adoption, the success, because lots of new things are there for the partner also, right? Because
Exactly.
lots of things are being changed. So it is one is OEM push commitment, Second is also the, as I mentioned earlier, also in terms of the attitude and willpower of the your partner or SI, your system
Absolutely.
integrator,
Absolutely.
right? If both are there, then together you can drive things, you can achieve wonders. So if there are new things, and you rightly mentioned, like every minute or every day there are new things, new products, new features are coming up. So, and then thanks to nowadays, we have Google, not just Google, we have Chat GPTs and other AI, agentic AI things. So lots of solutions have been given by them also, but we have to be careful, like we don't disclose any sensitive
Exactly.
information there. So that is very
Absolutely.
crucial. But
Yeah.
yeah, those things and tools helps a lot. And with the partners in place and with the OEM support in place, so it is achievable. So we
Absolutely.
hook up, or we can say we uh, combine OEM support or OEM skin in the game in this.
Yeah, I think all three parties have to come to a common agreement that we are in here to win this together. It's not me versus you, and there are going to be challenges, but we have to figure out a way to solve this and move forward from here, right? And
Correct.
everybody has to win from that
And
equation,
at
basically.
time, yeah, and at time there will be finger pointing. No, this is not my role. This partner was supposed to do, and partner will say, no, this is OEM supposed to do. So
Yeah,
where means as a moderator or as a third person, I have always ensured कि no, okay, ultimately we get the desired value, whether it is done by partner or SI. For me, I am least interested because licenses I am taking from OEM, maybe via partner or whatever it is, and he has the implementation charges, but end result is what matters. Everyone, like management, is interested in that, and we ensure we deliver that.
absolutely. I'm going to go back to one of your points, and this is my last question for you. One of my points is you in your previous answer, you recommended that try to stick to as much as out of the box because customizations makes a big difference, and there's a painful process of that. However, in general experience, we have seen that almost every organization feels like they have custom business needs, and the platform has to be adjusted to meet their business needs. And in the world of consulting, one of the guidance that has always been given to us and that many companies practice that the tool should never define how a business runs. The tool needs to adjust how a business wants to run. Sometimes the business has to adjust also and come up with new practice because but in most experiences and especially in ERP implementations, we have never or very rarely seen an out of the box implementation. So how do you manage that when obviously everybody wants to stay out of the box, but my requirements are custom?
So I will not name the company. In one of my previous company, we have faced this. Two implementation, same group company. One company, it was as good as I can say it as a Z ERP implementation. Majority of the ERP part is customization. Second company, it was majority, I can say 90% was standard. Front end screens to some extent, we have customized it for a user-friendly entry or bulk upload or those kind of perspective. Core is more or less same. The accounting standards globally are more or less same. More or less, it's all most of the places
Yep,
it is same, and that's how the global processes things are being designed. Definitely, there are certain things which ERPs are lacking, but that certain things are not more than 5 or maximum 10%.
understood.
Right. 5 or 10%, some front end, some user friendliness perspective, and some people have that perception. Means one of the old company, I have seen their ERP. It was awesome the way they have designed. It's fully custom designed for that particular industry, that particular company. But the issue was it was not scalable. With the growth, they were not able to manage it.
Hmm,
Right. So they were forced to move to the leading ERP. Look, there's no choice left. And
right.
when you're doing that, you have to adopt the best practices because it's not just
Absolutely.
being used by you, it is used by globally by many companies. Minor, some industry specific, some specific requirement, you may try to do that. But basics of your financials, your sales, your logistics, or your production all remains common. Everything remains same.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
auditor, whether it is any big four or any non-big four, it comes, they will audit the process or your people process and technology part. It is going to be on same method, same methodology, right? Whether you are
Absolutely.
using Oracle, you are using SAP, you are using Microsoft. They are interested, their end objective, control objective is same. They will look at the same design objective. What is that? How you have designed the control? What is the implementation effectiveness of the control? So all of these things remain same. So I see it as a more change management. Uh, There are genuine cases, but I will say it should not be more than 5-10%.
I
And
completely
that's
agree with
yeah.
you. Yeah, one of my thought process for the last 2 decades also has been almost all of these platforms that you just mentioned, they give you 65% ROI right out of the box. You plug it in, start working, you get that 65% ROI. Right? As consulting partners, what we look at is say, how do I take my customer from a 65 to an 80, 85, 90% ROI, right? In that case, there are two options available. One is you buy an off-the-shelf add-on that's available to this platform, right? Whether it's, whatever platform you just spoke about, there's always third-party vendors that have add-ons available. Why do we select that? Because that's been tested by hundreds and hundreds of customers. It's been around for a while. There's a good support system. You take that. Customization is the last piece you go to if you are not able to solve that out of the box, or if you're not able to solve with the third-party solution. Only then, and if it's absolutely necessary for your business to function, then you start looking at a customization model from that perspective, right? And I completely agree with your thought process over there. Kushal, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. You have some amazing insights and experience behind you. Thank you so much for your valuable time today. Thank you so much for the insights, and we look forward to getting together with you again in the near future at some point.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks, Nilesh.
So thank you so much, Mr. Varshney, for such an insightful and thoughtful conversation. And everyone, have a wonderful day ahead.